approximately 10%, and neuroglia, the associated cells, very closely associated cells, literal meaning nerve glue, approximately 90% of neural tissue. But it is a neuron that can generate nerve impulse, not the neuroglial cells. Neuroglial cells, they hold the neurons together. They supply, some of them supply nutrients, some of them protect them, functioning as phagocytes. Some of them form blood-brain barrier. Those are neuroglial cells, functions of neuroglial cells, and you are going to learn about them. And you are going to look at them under the microscope very shortly. Okay? So, brain is not a solid mass. Brain has cavities or chambers called ventricles. And these ventricles are filled with a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. Okay? Or in short, CSF. So when it develops from tube, hollow tube, you can see that on the left hand side, 3 to 4 week embryo, 3 swollen parts representing the forebrain, midbrain, the hindbrain containing cavity. You don't have to remember all these top technical terms, but it's nice to know the technical terms like forebrain called prosencephalon, midbrain called mesencephalon, and hindbrain called rhombencephalon. By 5 weeks, that tube-like structure, those 3 swollen structures, some of them already have undergone some changes. Some, like the forebrain, differentiates into 2 regions. One is called telencephalon, another is diencephalon or thalamencephalon. Telencephalon consists of 2 cerebral hemispheres forming the cerebrum, and the diencephalon forms the thalamus, hypothalamus, and epithalamus, but they contain the cavities. And mesencephalon remains unchanged, but rhombencephalon, or the hindbrain, changes to metencephalon and myelencephalon. Metencephalon differentiates into pons and cerebellum, and myelencephalon is represented by medulla oblongata. Now, this part of hindbrain, like the pons, like the medulla oblongata, the midbrain, and also the thalamus and hypothalamus, they form the brain stem, as you will see later on. Okay? So in the 5-week embryo, all the cavities have been differentiated. Like here, I have a model on brain cavities. Look here, this is the brain. This cerebral hemisphere has a cavity called the lateral ventricle. So this is the right lateral ventricle. This left cerebral hemisphere has a cavity called the left lateral ventricle. You can see the left lateral ventricle here, cavity. The right lateral ventricle here. And the second part of the forebrain, that is diencephalon, has a ventricle called third ventricle. So there is no first, second, 2 lateral ventricles, 1 third ventricle. The midbrain region that is unchanged, that has the aqueduct. It's called cerebral aqueduct. This part, this is the cerebral aqueduct, and this is fourth ventricle contained in the hindbrain. The first part of the fourth ventricle, the upper part of the fourth ventricle, is in the metencephalon. The lower part is in the myelencephalon, or in the medulla oblongata. Then this fourth ventricle is connected to the spinal cord. It's continuous with the central canal of spinal cord. Okay? Can I ask you a favor? Hello, gentlemen. Could you please go to the cabinet in between the hood and bring me a model, please? Yeah. Oh, there is a latch. Oh, yeah, please.